Greetings and salutations from the Casa de Single Wide News Studios. Your humble reporter Leroy at your service. Well, Derek Chauvin, the policeman who had his knee on George Floyd's neck a few months back, an image that was burned into all of our minds as being quite horrific. He is getting ready to go to trial. They're choosing the jury now. Some updates that some may have missed along the way was that we got the body cam footage later. We got other footage from cameras in the area and whatnot. And George Floyd was complaining prior to him being placed on the ground. He was complaining that he couldn't breathe. I have seen a still shot from an individual caption from a body cam, a still shot where George Floyd's mouth was open and there was something white on his tongue. Was it fentanyl? Was it meth? Was it an aspirin? I don't know, but there was, was he trying to eat his stash? I don't know, but he was clearly not in a proper state of mind when the police got there and got him out of the van or SUV or whatever it was that he was driving. He was acting erratic. He resisted arrest. They tried to put him in the car. They begged for him to put him on the ground. Now, initially, the person who did the autopsy said that he had died from asphyxiation. However, there was no damage to the throat. There was no damage to the larynx. There were no broken bones. There were no signs that his air supply had been cut off as far as damage, bruising to the neck, or anything like that. If you go back and look at the video closely, you'll see that one knee of the officer was on Mr. Floyd's shoulder. The other knee was holding his head by the neck, holding it to the side. This procedure was approved, not only approved, but standard for the Minneapolis Police Department. The officer was trained to do this. This was the standard operating procedure. Once they're cuffed and on the ground, you put the knee on the shoulder, you put the knee on the neck just to hold it, not to asphyxiate. Now, the officer had repeated, and it can be heard on numerous audio feeds from people who were taking audio and video, and also on the officer's cam themselves, that Officer Chauvin was worried about a condition called excited delirium, which they find it in people who have taken massive overdoses of drugs, especially uppers and downers like fentanyl and crystal meth, both of which were found in large quantities in his system. after the toxicology reports came out. And the best thing to do to ensure that that person stays alive is to put him in the prone position, which is laying face down with their head turned to the side. This is what the officer was trained to do. Now, after the fact, after this incident, the Minneapolis Police Department changed that policy and took that out. But what was the officer instructed to do as being the head officer of that group of officers? He did exactly what he was told to do, although it looked horrific. There can be an argument made that he did it for too long, what have you. The toxicology report showed that there was large quantities of methamphetamine in Mr. Floyd's body, and it showed a lethal dose of fentanyl in his body. Way lethal, not on the edge. Way lethal. Now, the coroner put down that it was a combination of several different things: a heart condition, the drugs, and so on and so forth. However, the coroner may have been in sort of a CYA situation where he wanted to cover his own butt as far as diagnosing the cause of death. That's going to be up for the jury to decide. Now, the charge against former Officer Chauvin is second-degree murder. A conviction of second-degree murder is, in my opinion, and I'm not a professional, is highly unlikely. They would have to prove that it was his intention to kill Mr. Floyd, and since he was following the procedure that he was taught by the Minneapolis Police Department, that's going to be a tough one to prove. Manslaughter, had they put that in there, maybe. Second-degree murder, I think he was overcharged in this case, and he will likely walk. A little background on George Floyd, and this really doesn't have anything to do with the case other than the mindset of the officers when they found out who he was. He had been prone to violence in the past, prone to resisting arrest in the past, prone to eating the stash that he had on him in the past. He had also, one of the things he had gone to prison for previously, he had broken into a woman's house. He was posing as some sort of a government official, as I understand it. And when she cracked the door open, it was a pregnant woman. He pushed his way in and had some friends come and ransack the house looking for money, drugs, valuables, whatever they could find, while Mr. Floyd held a pistol to the pregnant woman's belly, saying that he would kill her baby if she cried out for help. This is the kind of guy we're dealing with. It's also my understanding that he was in porn flicks. It's not illegal, but we're not talking about someone who is likely to cure cancer here. Even though since his death and the rise of the admitted Marxist communist group Black Lives Matter, and over $2 billion worth of insurance claims. That's just for the people that had insurance from the damage done from the riots all across the country. There's likely to be more riots to come. And Minneapolis is in a bad way because they defunded their police. And now they can't get anybody to come back and be a policeman there anymore, which is not a surprise. It's not a surprise at all. So, this is coming if you live near a city. I'm going to say any city in the U.S., maybe in the world. There were literally Black Lives Matter protests all over the entire world, and damage done all over the entire world because of this incident. It is a shame that the news media did not give us all of the information to begin with. It is a shame that people act like lynch mobs and don't wait for all of the facts to emerge to make reason out of it, to look at both sides of the story to see what was going on. All that the media showed us was this horrific scene. But they had a lot more information. They had a lot more background on Mr. Floyd. They had a lot of things that perhaps could have quelled many that took to the streets in complete outrage. But that didn't happen. If it bleeds, it leads. And if it causes more blood, I think over 30 people died directly or indirectly from the riots. I think at least 19 died directly from the riots. It's just a sad, sad state of affairs. And I wish people would swallow those initial feelings, wait for more information. They demanded that the officers be arrested, and they were immediately arrested. But that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough. We're going to punish people that are thousands of miles away from where this happened for absolutely no logical reason whatsoever. And it's coming again, so if you live near a city, beware, be careful, stock up on a little bit of food. If there was trouble there before, there'll probably be trouble there again. If you can get away from where you're at for this trial when it gets underway, when they get close to a verdict, do so. Because I figure no matter what they do, there's going to be riots. If he's convicted, they're not going to be happy with the sentencing. If he's not convicted, they're going to say that this white guy got off because he killed a black guy, and end the story. Anyway, that's all I got for this one. God bless you. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. God bless America, and y'all take care now. I'll be talking to you real soon. Bye now.